Welcome everyone to the Brand Sisters. I'm Claire.
I'm Alexis.
And today we are going to tackle a subject that I think we could be very hesitant to do.
Should I be nervous?
Yes, probably.
Okay.
I do have a quiz.
Gosh. Okay.
I think you secretly love quizzes, so.
I do.
So the topic for today is, how is your brand being perceived? Not how you think your brand is being perceived, but how is it actually being perceived, which is oftentimes not the same thing. And we'll do a couple brand audits of some companies that we know and love. So
This is good.
yeah, I'm excited. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that ultimately, every now and then, every business should do one thing, which is to ask yourself the question, is my brand resonating with my values, right? And that's something that you work a lot with clients with. But it's really important to see, with everything that you're doing, whether it's your copy, how you're, writing, how you're responding to people on DMs, what images you're choosing for your website. I mean, your brand literally covers so many different aspects of your business, literally every aspect of your business. And it's important to check yourself every now and then and choose self-honesty, which can be really hard to do, and see whether or not everything is aligning with who you are as a business, right? Because we do have that opportunity to make an impact on people around us, so we want to make sure that that's the impact that we want. So I have a little story as a teacher. Of course, like all my stories are student-oriented, but several years ago, one of my very, very dear, wonderful, amazing friends, her name is Mrs. Crothers, like classic teacher name. Right?
What grade did she teach?
She taught junior high with me, but then she became the principal.
Okay.
So best principal ever. She's amazing. So we had this 14-year-old girl who was in 8th grade, and she had an attitude, to say the least, the understatement of the century. And she had inevitably some issues in the classroom and got sent to the principal's office. And so Mrs. Crothers and her sitting, face to face, and this girl kept being like, I have no idea what I did wrong, no clue. And so Mrs. Crothers said, I'm going to try something with you. And I swear if I tried this, I would get kicked out of my classroom of the school. But she said, I'm going to mirror you. I'm going to imitate you. I'm going to talk to you, use your gestures, use your wording in the same way that you are. And I want you to see how you're being perceived. And it was like, everybody in the office went like dead silent, because we were like, this is going to go sour. Like her parents are going to call the office. We are all going to get sued, whatever. So she does. And the girl, of course, it ends in like laughter. They had the most fun with it, but the girl got it. She saw that she was talking with attitude, that she was being disrespectful, that her gestures, the way she was moving her face and her hands, everything was giving off this air of disrespect. And I think that it's very easy for us, right, to like look at other people and to see errors, to see where there can be improvement. But it's so hard for us to see us authentically, right? To have like a true look at how we're being perceived. And I think sometimes that could be, like we just did an episode on photography and figuring out how to prepare for your brand photo shoot. And I think that that's one of the reasons why we get nervous to do brand photos, because we get scared to see ourselves from an objective perspective, right? But I think it's really important. It's what we do at Animela, is we give that objective perspective, right? We give that opportunity to kind of take that step back, because our business, for most of us, is our baby, right? Like, we are so emotionally invested, and just as it's difficult to see that our own children can have flaws sometimes, the same with our business. It's really hard for us to see that there are areas for growth and improvement. And I think that we often very easily put a blind eye to the areas in our business that we either are helpless in, we don't know how to improve it, we don't know what to do, or, and I would speak from experience, in the past, when I DIY'd my business, originally, when you're doing everything yourself, you have to wear all the hats, and you're not an expert at everything, right? And so there are inevitably going to be areas of your business that are not as they should be, or not as you want them to be, really, right? So it's important to have your brand be consistent identifiable so that people can see your brand and they know exactly who it is. I think this stat, I can't remember where it's from, but I'll add it in the notes, but it takes 5 to 7 impressions for people to recognize a brand. So if you think about that on social media in particular, it takes a visitor or someone who is, looking through their feed 5 to 7 times to see your content for them to be like, oh yeah, that's Animela, right? Or that's, X company. So if that's the case, and if you're, every single time you're posting something, you're doing something that you're just like, oh yeah, I'm just feeling it this today, then those are 5 to 7 opportunities you missed out on, and you're not going to be recognizable, right? People are not going to identify, see, and pick out your brand. I guarantee if you scrolled your feed, and there are certain people that we follow, like Anthropology or Free People or whatever, that if I see their picture, I don't even have to see their name. I know it's them, right?
So true.
Like, I know that's a Free People picture. I know that's a Free People dress or whatever. So, that being said,
wait, can I just pause?
Oh, yes, sorry. I know I went on a total rant.
No, I just had so many thoughts while you were speaking.
Oh, please
Because, whoa. Because what you said about needing to look at it from your perspective and what you're doing is not what people normally do. People normally, and this is with a lot of my clients I work with, wonder what's wrong with their audience, what's wrong with the algorithm, what's wrong with SEO, right? And that's the initial thought, right? Why aren't people engaging more? My audience doesn't do this, or why are people not coming to my website? The platform that I'm using isn't whatever pushing out
for me. Yeah.
But it's people do not initially think, what am I doing that could be modified, that I can't remember the exact phrase used in the beginning, resonating with your values. So that really clicked for me, and I really hope that our audience is listening to that, because how empowering is that? That makes it about what you can do differently and be a performance changer.
Right.
So, and I just also feel like that girl in the principal's office, are you sure that's not an analogy about me when I was a teenager?
I know, right?
That was basically my mom. And I'm I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I feel like we all could have used that.
Probably not you.
No, I'm sure I could have.
Okay.
In different respects. Okay, so I took 2 brands.
Okay.
Free People and Gucci. 2 very different brands, right?
Yeah.
I think this will probably be a no-brainer for you, but if you fail, I don't know what the consequences are going to be. No pressure at all. So I'm gonna explain. This is from this company's website.
Okay.
This is them describing their ideal client.
Okay.
And I want you to tell me if you can figure out who it is.
All right.
Okay. And those who are listening, see if you can do it yourself. A 26-year-old girl, smart, creative, confident, and comfortable in all aspects of her being. Sweet to tough to tomboy to romantic.
Okay, that's Free People.
Very good.
And I'm pretty sure they described me.
Except, I'm sorry.
Okay.
26.
I know.
I know when I read that, I was like, they need to adjust that age because I feel like they're, underestimating their...
I know. I'm a little older than that. Okay.
Yes. But you can tell right away that everything they do embodies that, right?
It's so true.
Creativity, independence, freedom.
The tomboy rebel part too.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes.
And you can see that if you were to look at a Free People storefront and they took the Free People name off of their storefront, you would know exactly who it was.
That's so true. Wait, and you know what's interesting? You know how Anthropology does all the seasonal windows and they hire artists, so they're not uniform? What's so interesting about that is that even though those are all different, you would still know those are all Anthropologies.
Yeah.
Because their vision and their values come across in every one of those store windows so interestingly.
Which is genius that they're able to do that, to bring in all these different artists and still keep it on brand.
Keeps it on brand.
Yeah. Which means that they probably get a ton of people coming to them, and they're very,
I mean, go Anthropology.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, they're amazing. Yes.
Okay.
And with Free People, for example, you look at their storefront, and their logo, they have that, kind of script font, right? That really encompasses that whole free, carefree, independent feel. So Gucci, obviously, is the total opposite, right? Their brand values are, luxury, exclusivity, timelessness, elegance. And you can see that if you saw a Gucci storefront, right? They have their like black and white color palette, their base color palette, and then they have like metal accents, right? So the difference between those two brands are essentially, I think that they still do go after roughly the same market, right? Maybe Gucci's a little bit of an older, market than Free People. But essentially you have the same ideal audience, except that the feel is so different, right? Gucci is going for such an exclusive feel, and their audience wants that, right? And they talk about that. Like Gucci talks about how they want their client to feel what's the word? Like, they want them to feel that exclusivity. They want them to feel luxurious, right? They want them to feel self-assured in that way. And they talk very openly about that, right? So, and you do, like when you go in and you walk into a Gucci store, you feel that. It's not just like the brand, what are you smiling at? Okay, call me out. Saying. No, I am not a Gucci follower. I'm sorry. I have been trying really hard to be very unbiased in my wording.
Claire, this is really great. I just wanted to know if you had been in a Gucci store.
I have walked in, I'm sure, at some point in my life. Can I remember it? No.
Okay.
But I probably have. Have I walked in?
We're just not Gucci girls.
No, we're not.
It's not our thing.
No.
And that's fine.
I was trying to keep that out of this, but okay.
No, I think
hopefully we're not offending any Gucci girls. But
no, a Gucci girl's fine. We're just not Gucci girls.
Is that a thing, a Gucci girl?
I kind of
like
it. Should be.
I know. If it's not, it should be. It's really cute. Anywho, so totally unbiased, right? Gucci just has a very different vibe, and if you put two storefronts next to each other, Gucci and Free People, you would know exactly who you were looking at. And because they're killer brand people, right? Like they get their brand, they get their audience, they do it consistently every single dang time.
And I want to say something about the Gucci thing is, obviously I am around teens a lot because I have teen daughters, and so I see the community and I like see what's going on. And kids and like teens desire so deeply to be a part of a brand like that, right? You're talking about that luxury and exclusivity, which, I have like some personal thoughts on that. Like that's kind of like a bummer that's what kids want so much. But anyways, beside the point is that Gucci's like that, those kids are not their target audience, right? But like the trickle down of just wanting the belt or just wanting the Gucci, like that's another small level thing.
Oh, I mean, keychain?
Sure. Like,
I don't know that they have that, probably.
Definitely the belt. I know about the belts. But like the whole point is, right, that like you could have a piece of that and like think about how many small level things they sell for people that just want to be a part of that. So talk about you strong brand marketing there.
Yes. And then you grow up feeling like that brand is like leveled up, and then you want to be part of that when you get older, because you want to embody that. So I feel like it's important to look at some of those big brands and see, they're doing it right. They know what they're doing. They're identifiable. If I were to see any of their ads, I would know who we're talking about, especially in comparison to other brands in the same industry. So my recommendation, right, today, tomorrow, at some point soon, to give your brand a little bit of an audit, right? To look at what you're doing and see if it makes sense. If you were to cover up your name, your handle on Instagram, and you scroll down in your feed, is it recognizable? Is the continuity in there really in alignment with your brand, right? Is it in alignment with your values? And I think that maybe would be the step that you have to do first, right? Hopefully you have your brand values established. But once you have your values established, to make sure that everything oozes those. And to you, it might feel like repetitive, right? Like, gosh, I feel like everything I do is just like about freedom, right? But Free People has to do that, I mean, it may feel repetitive for the people inside of their bubble, but for all the consumers, they need that consistency to make sure that it's not only recognizable, but then for the people who resonate with that, they're going to be 100% on board. I'm all in. I want to be devoted and loyal because they get me, right? I'm all about freedom, authenticity, creativity, so I want that brand, right? I'm speaking from experience because I'm obsessed with Free People, and you are too. But
I don't know. I may become a Gucci girl now.
You just like
just kidding. I mean, honestly, we're just let's show the shoes that we're in right now. Like,
oops. There's spit up on mine. Please don't.
Please
don't.
We're wearing
Too close to the
rainbow
camera.
our rainbow sandals that we only wear because
Yes.
we're not Gucci
We're
girls.
not Gucci girls, no,
But
unfortunately.
maybe I do want to be.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I
What does that look like?
I could see you as a Gucci girl.
Now I'm insulted.
I know, just kidding.
Okay, question though.
Yes.
When you're talking about looking at all of your things to make sure that they're like consistent in those areas, are you talking about visuals? Are you talking about wording, like
Yes.
brand? Like, is it everything?
Yes.
Like, what specifically?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, everything. I think that ultimately you do what you can,
Mm-hmm.
right? You chip away where you can. I would look at whatever aspect you feel like your visitors are coming to the most, which
Okay.
I think for people that we talk with and, you know, work with is mostly social media, right?
And that's the door entry,
yeah.
the entry door
Yes.
into your website, right? Like
Right.
you want, social media really is a place to like invite and build connection, but
Yeah.
ultimately most businesses and brands want to drive you to your website so they really
100%.
can find out more,
Right. Absolutely.
So I'm going to ask you maybe a hard question.
Okay.
What is one question? So like if somebody wants to go and do a brand audit for themselves, what is one thing that they should be asking themselves when they look at all of their platforms? Like what's one question
I
so it
think
doesn't get overwhelming? you
Yeah,
know?
I think the question would be, I think the practice would be, first of all, write down on a piece of paper your top, 3 to 5 values.
Great.
Maybe 3 values, keep it simple. 1, whatever, you
Yeah.
know, like narrow it down, your top few values. And then genuinely, like take a second to look through, for example, your Instagram feed. Like, does this image, does this copy exude those values, right? Let's take Free People, right? Freedom, creativity, independence. Is this image of this woman with, you know, like on a skateboard outside, like looking like this, does that embody freedom, creativity? Absolutely,
Yeah.
right? Versus like someone, you would never on Free People's feed see, you know, a woman in a business suit at a desk,
Right.
working on a computer. Like
Yeah.
that's not their vibe and that's not who they're trying to reach. So if you are that kind of company that is going for more of a professional, like we know what we're talking about, you know, that kind of a thing, are you having photos that, you know, give off kind of the opposite vibe? And if so, like you need to correct that. So,
Right.
and keeping in mind like 5 to 7 impressions, you know, like that means that everyone counts, right? Every single one of those impressions count. It's not like someone sees one image on your feed and they're like, yep, I got it, I love them, I'm sold, I'm a loyal, you know, consumer of their product. Like, no, you know, you have to be consistent, you have to show up consistently so that they can rely on you. They can rely on your message, rely on who you are, trust you, right? If we have friends that are just like flippant and change left and right, like they become not friends to us, right? We don't want
So
to
true.
associate with them. So businesses need to be predictable, which I think is like
Good point.
not something that we feel like is valid, but it's true. Like
Yeah.
businesses should be predictable.
And I will say, if you're struggling to identify your brand values, or maybe your brand values need revisiting, we have a blog post on what brand values are and how to make sure that yours are identifiable.
Absolutely. And of course, anytime if you're feeling like you've hit a wall and you've done what you can and you want that objective, look into just kind of do all this process for you, then we are always there at Audit Agency to help journey with you and get you to a place where you feel at home in your brand.
Did you tell them about the brand audit that we have?
Yes. No, I did not.
Are you going to?
You can do it.
Okay. So one of the things that we offer if you sign up for our email list is we actually have a brand audit checklist. So you can go through your various brand assets and audit them and make sure. So it's a checklist of things for you to go through. So you can sign up for our email list and get that.
Yeah. So visit our website at animela.com. We have a podcast, The Brand Sisters. We have our YouTube channel, Instagram, TikTok. We're like super relevant.
We're Gucci girls.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.